You want to be an event planner. You learn from this.
An event planner? Where do you get this shit?
Stuff would do nicely, AJ. You're at a wedding.
Johnny Sack's face when AJ drops a swear word at Allegra's wedding is priceless. You can almost hear him thinking, event planning? Where do you get this shit? Then Carmela jumps in, scolding AJ for swearing at a wedding. But Johnny? He just makes this good-natured, exaggerated "oh" face, like he's barely offended. Honestly, he seems less upset by the profanity at his daughter's wedding than Carmela does. Beneath all the stress he's under, Johnny Sack could be a surprisingly cool, laid-back guy when he wants to be. This is probably the closest interaction we get between Johnny Sack and AJ, and it perfectly captures their dynamic. When the topic of event planning comes up, AJ shoots down the idea with, event planning? Where do you get this shit? Johnny, ever the family man, but also pragmatic, finds it rude but can't argue with the point. Meanwhile, Carmela acts like AJ just committed a cardinal sin. And really, where did Carmela even get the idea that AJ was destined for event planning? One party thrown by the heir apparent and suddenly she's mapped out his whole career. That's a bit much. Johnny's reaction is classic dad behavior around other people's kid, polished and professional on the outside, chuckling quietly inside. Even if he's disgusted, he won't make a scene unless his own family is directly affected. It's reminiscent of moments when other tough guys tolerate disrespect with a quiet smile because making a fuss just isn't worth it. Part of Johnny's reaction is also saving face for Carmela, who's clearly embarrassed by AJ's outburst. Johnny doesn't want to double her discomfort by overreacting. No doubt Johnny has his private thoughts about AJ. Probably thinking the apple didn't fall far from the bowling ball, but he keeps those opinions to himself, instead presenting the magnanimous, patient father and wedding host, even while dealing with federal marshals looming in the background. Seeing AJ mouth off probably gives him a brief taste of normal life amid the chaos. This all crashes down later in the limo scene when Johnny breaks into tears, a moment tied more to his own family troubles than AJ's antics. Ultimately, a kid's behavior often reflects back on the parents. That's why Carmela is more upset about AJ's tantrum than Johnny is. Tony, too, feels the shame when AJ's mistakes become public knowledge. In short, Johnny Sack's mix of amused tolerance and quiet frustration perfectly captures the complicated family dynamics at play, where respect, embarrassment, and private judgments all collide. Welcome to Sopranos Breakdown. I'm Darcy, and joining me today is Darcy. Together, we'll break down the world of Tony, Carmela, and the rest of the crew, uncovering hidden details and diving into the deeper meanings of every episode. Let's get started. Johnny Sack, pleasantly surprised to find an hour and 16-minute highlight reel of himself on YouTube. Seriously, this guy ranks top 4 in the entire show, yet he rarely gets the credit he deserves. Plus, the way he stuck by Ginny, when she was supposed to be on that Atkins diet, but instead ended up diving into a laundry basket full of Halloween candy. Classic. Then someone shouts, "Everybody's got a goddamned opinion. What is this, the fucking UN now?" Yeah, Johnny, what's the matter? Not funny anymore? Still going? Love how Johnny starts a sentence calm as hell, then midway through it just explodes in all caps. Speak your bars, man. You want to keep talking like that? We'll send you to slip and fall school. Classic threat. And then the nostalgia hits. It wasn't that long ago you were waiting in the car. Honestly, maybe you should still be there. Johnny's not done. Carmine thinks the world of you. We're done here. Boom. Mic drop. Then there's this gem. Hey, Mr. New York, what? You swim across that river. They were handing out free tokens at the tunnel. Oh, and once the Jersey tomatoes are in season, you can't keep those New York guys away. Johnny's wrath is legendary. He'll rain a shitstorm down on you and your family like you've never fucking seen. Seen bigger guys than Johnny take dumps at funerals. Classy. Marriage advice? Once you're married, you'll know the importance of fresh produce. Because nothing says married life like worrying about tomatoes. Count Chocula was smooth but greedy, a pragmatist once upon a time. Johnny? Capo? Johnny threw cold water on that right away. If this were the old days, would I even have to ask? Next thing you know, he's asking if someone's gonna fuck her for $1 million. Meanwhile, there are men in the can better looking than Ginny, and better radiator sandwiches. What do all these deadbeats do? Talk about coups, patent leather? Have you read an issue of GQ in the last 3 or 4 years? Creativity. More creative than fucking Spielberg. Already got the condo in Point Pleasant, and he's the unanimous favorite on the Good Earners podcast. Damn it, now everyone's gonna be answering their phones like Johnny all week. And after seeing him cry like a Rubenesque woman, that's a thing now. He gets a ton of credit. Top-tier character on par with Phil Leotardo, the Shah of Iran, some say. Honestly, never saw that resemblance. Johnny died doing what he loved, not sticking his beak in. Didn't care about Ginny's weight. Watching Eugene Pontecorvo's story, that's what got many hooked on the show. Johnny was reckless, power-hungry, a real stunad. Meanwhile, little Carmine? His wallet isn't glued to the goddamn esplanade, thank God. Little Carmine was the most prudent character. Don't talk crazy. Pills are easier if you want to commit suicide. Johnny Sack is loved, but nah, not top 4, maybe top 10. Or just a cunt. When they go, calm down, take it easy. Oh, have a drink. Friend of Bill over there. Johnny's got a right to be here. A right to a lot of things right now. And those fucking deal-a-meal cards. Don't get me started. And finally, Johnny Sack, a wormy cocksucker. If I am Furio, I want Jackie Jr. to get a pass. Furio should have asked for $175K. Over the drama, Chris and Al Baris, $25K each for dealing with the drama, and Ralphie, $25K for it being his game. That totals $250K. That's $5K a week on a 2% veggie, which is really low. Jackie now owes that, so $3,500 a week to Furio. Not a bad workplace comp. Instead, they clip Jackie Jr. Furio is still shot, and nobody gets anything. This also brings into perspective that Paulie wanted a $6K per week minimum for the betting parlor. Even if that's just the 16-week season and playoffs, you're talking about $120K per year. If year-round, it would be over $300K. That's ludicrous, and I'm sure Chris was in no position to pass on it. Where would a guy who nearly drowned at the Penguin exhibit come up with $250K a year to pay these guys? I was thinking maybe osteopathy, but I don't think he has the grades for that. Nucleotides and stuff. Furio was pretty low on the totem pole, all things considered, still a mere soldier. He was maybe like a soldier plus because of his Italy connections, but had no real hierarchical room to haggle with the bigwigs. He was in a weird spot. He was the best soldier by far and could handle anything you gave him. However, he doesn't seem like the type to have the skills or ambition to go beyond the soldier level. He's like a more serious Paulie. Interesting you mentioned Paulie, who becomes underboss and then unbecomes it, almost always a captain, while Tony is street boss and then boss. Paulie got big scores and was on Barone's payroll, but Furio literally bought a house with no reportable income. Maybe since he is Italian, he paid cash, and they just shrugged. They never really tell us his status on the other side, but he is supposedly doing ongoing car theft and probably gets a cut from his Italy boss. Since he liked Carmela, that's something he should go home for once Don Vittorio passes and Mauro Zucco is sidelined. Furio is seen working in the kitchen at Vesuvius, isn't he? Besides, in the early 2000s it was, You can buy a house if you have a pulse. If you don't, your friendly neighborhood banker will figure it out since the government is breaking balls. We're also shown that control of the unions helps legitimate income through no-show or no-work jobs. Not a huge stretch to imagine Furio is a union electrician, pulling down high six figures in 2000s USD on paper. Furio was making cheese at Vesuvio. Cheese, lot of money in that stuff. He's a master cheesemaker. So is Paulie. The guys don't like him because he's Italian and doesn't fit in with a bunch of Americans. I saw it differently. He already fit in well because he's just a pretty level-headed dude who didn't step on toes. But the guys liked having him around because he affirmed their own Italianness. Like, look at us, huh? Our grandparents decided to get on the boat. Yours didn't, but we're from the same place, close enough. And we're all here now, working together. Beautiful thing. He was a made guy. He was the most aggrieved party. But yeah, not a captain. I think his word would have meant a lot. Was it really a good idea for Jackie Jr. to show up tweaked to a job? That made me angry. I wouldn't even sell weed to those guys. Tweaked was the only way those guys were showing up for that job. They never had the makings of varsity athletes to do that job sober. Where was Jackie getting that money? Ralphie would be in a spot to have to school him. Chris seemed disinclined, but maybe with the smell of cash he would. Remember, Chris wanted him and Dino on jobs, and they were kind of with Ralphie. People tend to miss this about Jackie Jr. because they get hung up on the rationalizations the guys give for their failure to either help him succeed or stay out of it entirely. He was an idiot, impulsive, but so are those guys. He's basically just Chrissy without the support from Tony, who was caught between what was best, albeit still completely toxic, for the kid and the promise he made to his father on his deathbed. That's the whole tragedy of the character. $5K a week for a student with no income at all is really low. There was nothing there, lol. I'm saying the VIG of 2% is low. The kid has been selling X, worked with Ralphie, and Chris was asking him to do jobs with him already before. First, max out all you can in student loans. They will cash those out and he'll never pay a dime with no actual income to speak of. They could bust him out like they did Davey. Be a little creative. Do you know how many MRIs he could need? Student health plan. He falls downstairs a lot. Bill it. Clearly you have more of a knack for the game than I do. I was a credit card fraud investigator. The things people will do to create cash are insane. They're made guys. You can't shoot up a room full of made guys and be anything other than a cadaver. Sometimes it's about more money. I'm just saying only one made guy got struck, so they should be able to weigh in on what comes next. We bend more rules than the Catholic Church. They could have at least busted him out before they clipped him. Ran up his student loans to the max, make him get a bunch of MRIs at our clinic after he falls downstairs a lot. Tony was willing to let Ralphie give Jackie a pass because Tony knew it would destroy Ralph's reputation. Jackie Jr. wasn't worth $250K to Ralphie. Why do you think Ralph killed him? He'd be the one settling debts. It was a crap situation where everyone was SOL. I didn't care for Jackie and despised Ralph. Furio owed them nothing. He doesn't owe Jackie a second chance, which is not up to him anyway, nor should Ralph get anything because he put them up to it. For Furio, it would be only money. Tony would obviously take anything due Ralphie. It was the real crime robbing Ralphie's card game. It was not about the money, but about the insult to Ralph. He had to kill Jackie to maintain his reputation. Paulie wanted a $6K minimum weekly from the betting parlor. There's nothing fair about the mob. Gamblers bet all year round on football, NBA, MLB, horse racing, college basketball, including March Madness. There's plenty to gamble on. I don't think Jackie Jr. could come up with anywhere near the $5K weekly payment. If the total amount was proposed, maybe his family would agree and pay if they had any money left from his dad. Jackie Jr. wasn't an earner. He pulled off one robbery by the skin of his teeth and the other poorly. If the amount was like, say, Furio told him to give 1K, he might have been able to pull off another small-time robbery and settle it. If nobody died or got shot at, sure, but no way was money going to the case when somebody died and guys got shot/shot at. Jackie is a little pissant, kicking up scraps to Ralphie. Where the heck is he gonna get $250,000? Knock over a few more card games and shoot at some more made guys. Basically, Ralphie owes it, and would be motivated to force Jackie to earn what he could. Off the top, I bet Rutgers would lend him $200K in student loans. He drops all his classes the first week and kicks up the entire amount. MRIs he needs on his student plan for repeated falls and car accidents, busting out a person in a different way than Davy, with the same result, or still clip him. Jackie Jr. took a shot at a made guy. No going back from that. What kind of precedent does that set? You can shoot at each other and it's okay if you miss as long as you pay him money? No, Bobby was killed and Tony asked for money. He did not kill the killers or have them killed. It's situational, of course. Blundetto had to go, but as far as the rules go, you're right. But they do bend more rules than the Catholic Church. If Furio was the affronted and could parlay, he should be allowed to get rich over it. But Jackie being clipped is in the show, so I'm just thinking about scenarios. When did Adriana work it out? In the episode, she seemed to sense something was wrong during the car ride with Silvio. There were shots of highway signs, but without knowledge of the geography, it's unclear how much those hinted at her situation. It feels like before Silvio started driving off-road into the forest, Adriana might have already suspected what was coming. However, the exact moment she realized she was fucked seems to be when the car stopped and Silvio got out, regarding where she was buried. It's unlikely she was buried under Carmela's spec house. The show portrays the spec house as symbolic of how their success is built on crime and bloodshed. But practically, Silvio would have used a secluded, prepared spot rather than a developing suburban area. Also, the dream sequence Carmela has, where Adriana appears as a ghost at the spec house, is more a metaphorical representation of guilt than a literal indication of her burial location. Adriana's realization probably grew gradually. She was grieving Christopher's supposed suicide attempt and the collapse of their escape plan, which likely distracted her. She was not very sharp and was overwhelmed by the stress of her FBI involvement, so the full realization likely only hit when Silvio parked the car in the woods and began to get out. Tony's call to her from a payphone was designed to manipulate her, making her believe Christopher was in trouble and the situation was salvageable. This call distracted Adriana from the harsh reality. The payphone detail is significant because if the call was genuine, Tony would have called from a hospital or his own phone. This was a classic Tony move to control the narrative and buy time. Adriana's behavior on the ride reflects denial and confusion. She had an escape daydream where she imagined driving away alone, indicating part of her knew she was in danger but was trying not to accept it. Her panic only fully set in when the car stopped and Silvio got out. As for the logistics of the murder, Silvio likely had the burial spot prepared in advance. Digging a grave at the moment would have been risky and time-consuming. The show implies that such kills are carefully planned with a pre-dug hole. In summary, Adriana probably started suspecting something during the car ride, especially as the scenery changed, and she was left alone with her thoughts. She was overwhelmed with grief, fear, and denial, which delayed her full realization. The "I'm fucked" moment was likely when Silvio parked in the woods and began to get out of the car. She was not buried at Carmela's spec house lot. That's more symbolic. Tony's manipulative call was designed to confuse and delay her reaction. The burial spot was almost certainly pre-dug and secluded. Drop your thoughts in the comment section below. Do you agree or disagree? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more updates. Your opinions matter, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you.